million retirement fund. But what's the best way to achieve it?
Have multi-millions of dollars. That's the first way. Or if you want to invest your money right, you see Abe Ashton. Ashton Strobel, he can help you. He's Abe is one of the area's leading financial professionals. He helps people plan retirement and even has his own weekly retirement radio show. Great having you, buddy.
Hey, thanks for having me back. I'm happy to be here. Or have a very rich grandma.
Yes, that's very helpful.
Oh yeah, we forgot that.
You asked to be adopted by a very rich grandma. Whatever it takes, start mowing the lawn or do whatever.
Sheldon Adelson, adopt me. Let's talk about. I mean, we all want to have a great size retirement account. You don't have to be rich to have it, though.
No, here's what's interesting. When I have people coming into my office, it's interesting to find that sometimes the very wealthiest retirees with a seven-figure retirement account are school teachers.
No kidding.
Really?
And are police officers. Those people who started in a career that they realized they were probably going to be in for their entire career, right? And they started when they were 20 to 25 years old, and they knew that they were just going to keep on putting in, and maybe there was a match program, but they were just going to get used to putting in towards retirement someday in the future when that came. And if somebody was doing that for, you know, let's say 45 years, from 20 to 65 years old, and putting in just $300 a month, that's going to be over a seven-figure retirement. You're going to be over $1 million at just $300 a month. Now, someone trying to catch up to that when they're 45 years old and only having 20 years to put in, now we're talking about putting in $3,000 a month to make up the difference of not having those earlier years.
But the problem with the 401k is you can only put up to a certain amount, so you'd have to put it in other investments as well.
Right. If you were older starting, because at 45 years old, you definitely have to go and use other Roth IRAs and then just other investment accounts, maybe real estate, and then have a bigger portfolio that way. But when you're younger, I mean, this is what we should be telling the younger kids. This is what grandparents should be telling their grandchildren.
Absolutely.
As soon as you start your first job, start putting it away. 5%, 10% per month or per year, whatever it takes. Start getting that account started, and you will end up with a $1 million retirement account.
Okay, so let's say you do end up with that $1 million retirement account, which sounds fantastic, though. But then you don't really get to keep it all, right?
No, of course you got to worry about taxes.
Yeah.
And it's in the news right now. We're hearing a lot about it, right? With President Trump talking about tax reform, going from the 7 tax brackets to 3 proposed tax brackets, which would probably be a tax cut for everyone. Certainly the wealthy would get the biggest tax cut, but everybody looks like they would benefit somehow. The problem is, Sean, you and I were talking about earlier, it continues to go towards this big deficit. If we're cutting taxes and we don't have the revenue, how are you paying that down
$20 trillion
one day? It's not just this 4 years or the next 8 years or even 20 years from now. At some point, we're, as a country, going to have to pay the piper. And there's only going to be one way to do that. It's not just cutting costs, which is important. It's going to be increasing taxes. And the highest tax bracket in our country at any given point in the history of the United States of America was actually 81%. So
is that true? Because I remember back in the 1958, top earners, I think it was only, Rockefeller, I think. It was like 90-something.
Yeah, it's the highest one that would hit, and that was over $1 million back then.
Yeah.
But for the average person, it could get up to 81%. And I think back then it was like over $90,000. I'll have to go back to my history. So it wasn't I mean, today.
That's before deductions.
Right, that was before deductions. So we do have a history of astronomical tax rates. And so you've got to be aware of that. And that's why using things like the Roth IRA that should never be taxed will be super important. Or even paying taxes on some investments as you go to try and to not have this huge lump sum of taxes when you're 60 years old. Because what we're going to find is a lot of 65-year-olds may be in the highest tax bracket they ever were as retirees.
Wow.
Even more than when they were actually working.
And the thing is, with the tax cuts that we're having now, it's almost like being fed sugar, because we know this will eventually come to a head.
Yeah, it tastes good now.
Yeah,
but at some point, you know, it's going to show around the waist and you're going to have a problem. You're going to end up on a diet. And that's what we're going to do with our taxes. We're going to have to put money back into the system to get ourselves out of this terrible debt. We'll just print more money.
So, I mean, clearly we've established we need to be paying taxes, but you can still strategize, right? You can say, do I pay now? Do I pay later? How do I make the most of this for myself?
It's a great point, because we have financial vehicles now that will allow people to stretch out the taxable gains throughout their retirement. Instead of lump summing and paying taxes right up front, people are getting offered pension buyouts, and we don't want them to pay taxes right up front. The other thing you've got to be worried about is fees, not just taxes, but fees from different portfolios, funds, and fees that you're not even seeing that are hidden come in, and they steal a lot of your growth and a lot of your potential returns. So that's why we do our portfolio x-ray, where we show people exactly what they're paying in fees. They may think there's just an advisor fee, but often there's a hidden mutual fund fee, or there's another service charge, and many people are paying 3% a year in fees.
And they don't know it.
They don't know it, and that's why we like to show people. So
I know that feeling. I go through my statements and I'm like, is there a fee here I don't know about?
You have no idea, because it's so buried deep in everything.
That's what our job is for.
This is why you got to get it. You know what?
You need an Abe.
Can we help people?
You need an Abe. Well, there you go.
We all need an Abe.
Finally, somebody needs an Abe. All right, perfect.
You got to call the number on your screen right now. Here's the deal. First 10 people to call are going to get that aforementioned complimentary portfolio x-ray with Abe and his team at Ashton Strobel. Really, it's phenomenal. You got to give them a call and get more information.
Yeah, it's good to know where you're at financially. For more information or to schedule an appointment, just call the number or visit the website on your screen. Ashton Strobel is a proud sponsor of the Morning Blend.